We did it.
What is good? Feels like I only have audio in one ear, though.
It feels like I only have audio in one ear.
Ruh-roh.
I've got audio in both ears, so.
All right, so we're here. You have to hit start draft.
Oh, let's do that. We're
My
kicking it off.
ones and twos wizard.
Oh, we gotta turn that off.
Mute it. All right, so right off the rip, we're live. We're doing a Superflex tight end premium, 1.5 for the tight ends. We're 1 minute clock here. Dynasty, obviously.
I thought we were doing redraft.
No, but we are back going live here. We will be going live a few times a month here and leading up to the season, and then we will be back going live once a week to kind of recap games and talk about all the waiver wire ads and all that kind of good stuff. So make sure you're subscribed and all that jazz for leading up to the season if you're watching this video from a replay here. So off the rip, we got Mahomes, we got Allen, we got Hurts, we got Burrow, then we got Justin Jefferson at 1.5, then we got Lamar Jackson at 1.6. We're flying here. We got 1.7 Herbert, 1.8 Jamar Chase, 1.9 we have Lawrence.
This is chalky.
110 we have Fields.
I'm gonna guess this is Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, it could be. We got a third round reversal working here. I believe we should. Yep, got the third round reversal working, so it will shoot back to the third at the end of the second. So the guy drafting in the 12 hole will have 3-1. Just to maybe help mitigate some of those top quarterbacks that you get. It gives you an opportunity to get a higher draft pick at the 3-1 if you're starting in the back of the draft, because it is nice to have one of those top 7, 6, 8 quarterbacks, however you want to draw that lineup. I like Fields and I like Watson, but it's not the same as having Herbert, Lamar Jackson, and maybe Lawrence we think might be in that range, and maybe Watson could get back to that range, but we're not sure yet. But I do feel good about taking both those guys in the first round. JMW has been in all of our other FFD mocks where we are creating our own ADP. He has been hot and heavy on the Anthony Richardson there in the second round.
I was going to take him in the last mock we did. I was going to take him at the 2-3, and I'm pretty sure JMW took him at, or I think somebody took him in the turn.
Yeah, I think he might have been there. So we got one team so far, scratch, without a quarterback. He's going Bijan CD, so we'll keep an eye on that build. We'll kind of see how that goes. And then we have one who started with Lawrence and A.J. Brown. So the second round started CeeDee Lamb, Anthony Richardson, Dak Prescott, A.J. Brown. Now we have a second team without a quarterback, Christian McCaffrey and Jamar Chase, and then Garrett Wilson, 2-6, paired up with the Herbert squad here. So a bit of an interesting start here. I personally have bend liking, for the most part, getting that one heavy hitter quarterback in the beginning and then getting another really good skill position player, whether it's a receiver or a tight end or a running back here in the second round. I've just been liking my build a little bit better.
Even if Kyler Murray's there, you still would rather do that?
It makes it a lot harder for me to not take Kyler Murray when we're wrapping back this way here. Like Brees is still on the board right now. Now this guy doesn't have a quarterback at 1.5, so Taylor went at 2.7. He's paired with Lamar Jackson. So we only have two teams so far who have 2 quarterback build right off the rip. Which, there's a whole bunch of different ways to win at this, and
a whole bunch of ways to lose at it too.
Sure. Richardson and Watson could be super dangerous. Dak and Fields could be great. But we got Brees and Jefferson now on the same team, and he is QB-less, and he's not going to get the third round wraparound, because we remember going back the other way.
Look at that, Chris Olave. That's the highest I've seen him go.
Chris Olave at 2.9. If I could I get the players up there whenever you're done typing?
Which player?
Any of just the list.
Oh, you want a list of players? Yeah.
Okay. I am not drafting, obviously. With a minute, it gets hard to talk about this and kind of go. And we certainly could have, but if we fill it up pretty quickly, which we did, one of us will usually elect to not draft if you're just joining us for the first time. So Olave pretty early there at 2.9. But I'm not.
I can't say I hate it. I'm just
super upset.
That's the earliest I've seen him. That's all I'm saying.
Can you hit me with the rest of the wide receivers there?
The WRs. The problem with not drafting your own team is that you cannot see the list.
Well, if I was the one that created it, I'd be able to see, but you created the draft, so I can't see it. You
well,
can.
then you could have created it.
So we got,
but then I wouldn't be able to pull it up for the viewers.
You'd have to be drafting St. Brown, Tyreek, Diggs, Cooper Kupp, T. Higgins, Devontae Smith, JSN, Drake London. So I'm basically okay with that. I would probably swap Waddle in place of Olave for me personally.
Yeah.
And then St. Brown has been a favorite of ours for a long time, and it goes Olave 2.9, Waddle 2.10, and then St. Brown 2.11. Any concern with St. Brown moving into the year with a Laporta and a Jameson Williams coming back, and then a Gibbs, like just and Montgomery but
un poquito,
a little bit.
I never find myself drafting him in these mocks we do. He always goes before like I'm ready. I don't know. Have you drafted him at all? Have you pulled the triggers on that?
I don't think I've really been. I just, for whatever reason, I'm usually not in position.
I mean, I'm not drafting any of those wide receivers over Kyler Murray.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I'm taking you got a great pair up there, Mahomes and Kyler. And unfortunately, like if you would have got the double down there and it was a regular non-third round reversal, that would have been absolutely insane.
Ridiculous
of you being able to maybe put Kyle Pitts there if you wanted to.
Was not putting Kyle Pitts there.
Nope. Or a tight end, or you could put
he's so anti-Pitts.
Right off the rip, you could maybe you'll even get back to you, but you could have put like a player like a Cooper Kupp right there with those two pairing. And I know Kyler's going to miss some time, but when Kyler's healthy, he's a top quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
And I think take a minute,
and I think he has just as good a chance of getting back in the first round conversation as anybody does.
What would you have done if you would have had the back-to-back there?
Whew. I'm a running back. I probably would have went running back.
Saquon.
I don't know. The stuff coming out of the Giants.
Taking Gibbs that high? He's usually going pretty high.
Yeah.
3-1.
I don't know. That's interesting. I'm glad I don't have it because I don't know what I would have done there.
You guys taking T. Higgins, Devonta Smith, or JSN? Or I'm probably taking Drake London over all of them. JSN's close.
I'm taking Higgins and before I take JSN, and I think I probably got to take Devontae. If you want to take Drake London, I'm not mad at that. It feels good to take Drake, just because I don't know. He has more value right now. He could not be as good as T or Devontae. But he's the number one guy there. So
my original strategy is out the window, by the way. I'm not doing it now.
Back-to-back tight end.
Yeah, there's too many are gone now. I can't.
Mark Andrews right there for Big D. That's a fantastic value. Like I'm down to take Mark or Pitts in the second round.
Yeah.
All right. So there goes. So now we're back into the third. T went, which I would take. Like I said, I would take JSN and Drake for sure over Higgins, Pitts, Kelsey, Gibbs, Bryce Young. And then Tyreek, Mark Andrews, and Tua. Hit me with the quarterbacks. Bryce Young at 3.5 there. I guess I can't be too upset about it. I would rather have Tua, I think, but I'm a little scared of Tua at that point.
At the end.
But I do like the value that we've been seeing on Tua in our FFD drafts. Has been pretty good, and Tua was kind of in that mid-second when we were first doing these there for a little while, and he seemed to slip down a little bit for some reason.
Almost the end of the third.
Right. And so at that point now I start to be a little bit more in. You got to be a little worried, but are you guys fine with Bryce Young at 3.5 there? You're about to pick, Matt, so you can abstain.
Yeah, he's usually going like in the second round, which is much too much.
Yeah.
And the third round is probably, I don't know that he'll ever get, could he be a first round startup pick? I guess he could be, but the likelihood is third round is probably about as good as it'll ever get. So that's like more properly rated value. You're definitely not getting a deal, but it's not as bad as second round.
We did a show on this that we kind of were talking about guys that we aren't drafting or we're selling high on or whatever. And mine were Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. And I'm not the guy to come on here and tell you to sell Garrett Wilson because he's as high as he's ever going to go. And you got to sell him and yada, yada, yada. He's higher than what the output is. And this is as high as this is what I want. I want my player to go up that high and be that good. And Garrett Wilson has the ability to be that good. We saw it in flashes without a quarterback last season. And we're thinking that he is going to be that good. So, if I can get a crazy deal for Garrett Wilson, then everybody's tradable. But this notion in this dynasty beauty contest that everybody has to be the smartest guy in the room on. Garrett Wilson is most likely not even in as an option, being somebody that I'm floating around to trade on my team. If somebody approaches me, then maybe we will. But and I'm going to throw some asinine offers at you to see if you want to do it. But to Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, my point kind of being is, yes, those guys would be somebody that I would be a little more interested in selling, because maybe we are at our ceiling here, and the points probably aren't going to equal to what Garrett Wilson's points output could be for being a top wide receiver. I look at Bryce and CJ as maybe, more of those 5th to 7th, 8th round quarterbacks that we've kind of been seeing, the Kirks and the Daniel Joneses and the Derek Carrs, and maybe they'll be great. I'm not trying to slight those guys. I like both of them a good amount. I just don't know that they have quite the upside that I want, and they're both in a little bit precarious situations of the team. And I like Carolina a good bit. I think they're a little underrated defensively. They got a good offensive line, and I like where Houston's going. But it's not the same as, say, a Tua, who maybe slightly limited, but was one of the most accurate passers, can process pretty well, had a head injury. But before that, now we've at least
several head injuries.
We've at least seen, and a hip injury leading into that. We've at least seen him put up, pretty elite production through a time, and on a ridiculously surrounded offense, like super insulated. And those
which could get better if they bring in Dalvin Cook.
Right. And Bryce's and CJ's situations could improve too. Now, I'm not necessarily against taking them guys, these Bryce and CJ, in the 3rd round here, but that's going to be they're going to be somebody who I'm constantly I'm constantly sending offers out, trying to swap that out, like to go to a Daniel Jones plus something else, because I get the rushing upside with the floor, where I don't know if I get it from Stroud, that would be awesome. Then we're excited about it, but it's not something I'm counting on. And Young's escapability is really good to keep a play alive, but also a little smaller, and we could see potential injury. I'm not going to predict that on anybody, but those have been my kind of thoughts with those guys kind of moving forward. So we did get Saquon 3.9 and Gibbs at 3.4. Any thoughts on Gibbs at 3.4? Is that too early for you guys?
It seems like they're going to move him around a lot. I guess the hope with Gibbs is you're going to sacrifice maybe some red zone work or maybe some short yard stuff for passing.
Right. Yeah, and Monty's certainly serviceable.
You down with him there? It seems a little high, but you're not going to get him if you don't.
I'm probably not taking him at 3.4.
You take, I think, Tyreek Hill,
I'm probably,
maybe like Devonta Smith.
Quite
Drake
honestly,
London.
Probably not taking any running back in that 3rd round right there.
Drake London or
give me Drake.
Gibbs.
Give me Drake.
I didn't really want to take him, but
I want the Gibbs.
I didn't really want to take him at 3.12, but I'll take Drake London at 3.12.
And I really like Gibbs, but if we could switch Gibbs to 3.12,
sure,
that would be a little, and I really like, what you just did right there is a build that I would like. Although if the build that I've been liking, you being the 1-1 getting Patrick Mahomes, and then Kyler Murray, and then Drake, and then JSN. Those are 2 guys that I've been ending up with a lot of times on my team. But I like this box when that 212 box or that 210 box when it's Breece Hall. When I got that one hero RB that I can lean on, and now I really don't have to look RB if I don't want to for a while. And then I love the Drake and JSN stack, and you can get veterans that could score you points a little later.
Yeah.
And kind of anchor those guys down.
Well, I think London should be fine. As much as I'm not a huge fan of him, he's going to get targets. Oh,
right. And we're projecting that offense moves forward.
Yeah, sure.
And all of a sudden, we were kind of talking about Bryce and CJ and that the weapons surrounding aren't that sexy. All of a sudden, there's a ridiculous big 3 and a really good pretty good offensive line in Atlanta.
Yeah.
If Ritter can just manage the game and be Brock Purdy,
sure,
we're fine.
Yeah.
We're loving life.
I'd prefer a big 4 in Atlanta, but that's just me.
They got a great handcuff and a great rotational.
Is he the best handcuff in fantasy football now?
Oh, jeez. David Montgomery.
Yeah, Monty's pretty solid.
Top 5. Give me top 5.
But Monty's gonna have Monty's gonna have more of a game in, game out role, I think.
What are you talking about? Yeah. I think if I can get 8 points a game out of year, he's not dead. He's not dead.
He's not
dead, folks.
He's not. All right. So Barkley at 3.9, Stroud at 3.10, Devonta Smith at 3.11, 3.12.
I really wanted Smith to be there, and I would have smashed Smith London at the turn there, and I would have been super happy about that.
I think those guys are kind of clustered up for me. And then Diggs, I've been kind of having a hard time with, but I think that's going to be great value in the next 2 years.
I was deciding between JSN or Diggs.
Right. And right. And then DK, Josh Jacobs, and ETN. Like I like Jacobs a good bit right here. And then this Eckler at 4.8 is nice. The Cup at 4.6. If you're building a pretty like this team that he's got, this Lamar Jackson, Taylor, Andrews, Cup. I'm loving 4.6 Cup right there. Like, yes, maybe Cup dies on your roster. Yes, maybe if your team stinks with a bunch of injuries, you don't ever recoup that 4.6. But you're gonna miss on some other fucking draft picks as we go through here anyway. And Cup, I mean, is definitely in contention for the WR1 this season.
Oh, for sure.
And maybe even next. So with Mark and Taylor, who's due for a bounce back, and Lamar, who's due for a bounce back.
Yeah.
I think that's a really nice start there.
Big D's going with that rainbow start.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, J Mike was busting up. You try to get top 5 for Algier.
So then we got Quentin Johnston at 4.7. That seems like it's a little high from what we've been seeing. We'll be getting our ADP. We have our ADP, and we'll be adding to it, and we're kind of sorting all the bumps and bruises and what we like and what we don't like out of it. And then we got Austin Eckler here at 4.8, which I think is basically the running back version of Cooper Kupp. Just going to be great points on your roster. Apparently, all he needed was $2 million more, and he's okay. He's ready to go. So and then Daniel
Eckler got $2 more million. That was
in incentives, yeah.
Incentives.
Which,
Your ass better perform.
Right.
I mean, we don't know what those incentives are.
Right. They could be pretty easy incentives.
Count to 10 before each game. You know what I mean?
Daniel Jones at 4.9. That's maybe the earliest we've seen him. And now you're looking at DLF ADP, then all the quarterbacks go before the 5th round, which is egregious. But Daniel Jones at 4.9. Devontae Adams at 4.10, been a hard one to place for me. And then Kenny 3.6, 4.11, properly picked here. I would have taken Najee instead of Walker here if I'm JMW.
But I think there's an argument to be made for Walker.
Not over Harris for me.
Not over Harris, but I think over Ramondre or Paul going after that.
I think this is properly rated 4.11 to the 5.2, 5.3 area for Walker. I think that's where he should be. I would take Ramondre. And I would for sure take Najee and Ramondre over Kenny, and then you could coin flip me between Pollard a little bit. Goff at 5.1 seems a little early.
Seems a bit squirrely for me.
But again, was good last year. This could be his offense. The Hookers, not on it's 3rd round, 4th round. What do they get?
Well, 3rd round. Matt Corral was a 3rd round pick. Let's just talk about that.
And also so was Ritter. So
yeah.
So
is Russell Wilson.
Right. So, it could happen, and I like Hooker. But
the hit rate on 3rd round QBs is not high.
It's not great, but he's going into a good system, and he's going to get a year, and he was a good player.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The Lions are probably going to make the playoffs this year. How do you move on from Goff if he's
you don't have to.
Terrible?
You could go one more year with Goff.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I think you could get at least 2 more years, and then another, maybe even 3rd after that for reasonably not crazy expensive.
Najee over Pollard all day, every day, right?
Yeah,
of course.
Question.
Yeah,
Okay.
Najee over.
You could.
Over Kenneth Walker.
I might say Najee over Eckler.
I'm taking Najee over ETN too.
Okay.
I'm putting ETN in the Walker bucket, like we just kind of talked about on that last show that we did. Chubb at 5.5. That's probably about the earliest that I've seen him kind of go here. Hawkinson at 5.4. We're having tight end premium, so an extra point and extra half point per reception here. And then we got Christian Watson, Pittman, Judy, Addison, Derrick Henry. That is really early for Derrick Henry. I hate that. J.K. Dobbins.
Tell us how you really feel.
I mean,
I hate that.
He also could be the Cooper Kupp of running backs, just like Eckler. But it's just he's real old and just like it's just a completely different kind of player than Eckler. So then I would take Dobbins over Henry. The Javonte
Matt, he doesn't like it.
He'll be all right. If we can't be honest, what are we doing? Javonte Williams 5.12. I think that's things are looking.
I'm excited about that.
Things are looking better.
I'm
for
excited
Javonte,
about
but
that 5.12 Javonte because If he hits,
Well, if he's in the 6th round, if he would have switched it to 6-1, I would have felt a lot better about it.
if he hits, he's gonna be up there in the 3rd round, if not the 2nd round. If he comes back and looks,
if he has a
and
strong
looks
back
good-
half of this
Oh,
year,
yeah.
he's going up 2-3 rounds for
Yeah.
sure.
but
and then Treylon, I love that.
He's the best running back I have left, who I think could be that locked and loaded RB1. That's the only chance I have left.
Could you give me the running backs tab then when you get a second? The George Kittle, which seems like pretty good value, but I'm hesitant on Kittle. If Purdy's the guy, I think we saw a lot better George Kittle performance than we did with Lance. But we haven't seen much Lance with anybody else. We saw a lot more consistent Kittle, I think, week in, week out with Purdy operating that offense. So Treylon Burks at 6'1", I absolutely love that. Kittle, Debo is one of those ones where I'm having a hard time
exactly.
with Debo.
I just don't know what to do with him.
I think that's probably going to be good value. I think he's probably going to score pretty good points week in, week out. I think the floor is going to be double digits.
6'3".
I have a hard time taking Kittle over Goddard, but maybe that's not the right. I know Kittle's better if Kittle is producing like he can, like he did with the stretch with Purdy, but damn, it's so hard for, like, I'm a 5th round Goddard guy all day long. Like,
Big D
at that 5'10", I would have much rather had Goddard, and then you probably could have still got Derrick Henry at the 6'3" there. Like, I don't, and you could have had Goddard and solved the big tight end problem and had one of the premium tight ends. And then, Miles Sanders, maybe a little early there, but gaining clout. We all really like Miles. He and Big D knows the room here and knows that we've been talking Miles and we like a lot of Miles. And if you don't have a great RB2, I think he's, right now, well, one guy has 3 running backs, but there's not a whole lot of guys who have 2. And then he's got Kupp and Pittman sandwiched in there. So, and a good tight end. So he's a little quarterback deficient right now, but we'll kind of see how that plays out.
I mean, he can still grab a quarterback here.
Oh yeah, I'm not.
I mean, if some that rhymes with Many Mickett ends up there, I like his team.
Right.
Schmenny Schmickett.
And so, I don't know. I don't think he's going to, because
Debo or DJ Moore.
I'm taking DJ Moore. For some reason I just feel better about it.
That's a tough one. I want to say that I need to look into it some more, but I mean, maybe DJ Moore, you should be buying DJ Moore right now.
You should have been buying him last year when he said you said he wasn't worth a can of beans.
For sure.
Yeah,
but
and then his dad got you.
For sure. That's when you should have bought him. And Big Toe told you.
On the YouTube comments.
Big Toe told you.
Here?
Someone was real mad.
Really?
Someone was
really
very.
his dad.
Oh, okay.
Someone was very mad about
It was his father.
his grandfather. I mean, Justin Fields definitely the best quarterback he's ever played with, and if he just has a decent enough quarterback, he's
the best fantasy scoring quarterback that he's ever played with. I don't know how much better of a quarterback he is right now.
Who's been about Sam Darnold?
Yeah, I mean, well, look at how good he was with Sam Darnold.
Yeah,
at the end
he
of
was
last
just
year.
with Sam.
Like with a semi-proficient passer that was willing to give him the ball. And it's no slight on Fields. Fields is going to be a good fantasy producer, but
it's a slight.
But I do worry about Fields a little bit in the actual operating as a real deal quarterback. I think we're at best even with DJ Moore quarterback play.
Wow, interesting.
So
okay.
And then the double up from Scratch here. So Scratch goes Golf, Purdy, Smith. So he's going to be the cat lady here and just hoard up. That house is going to smell a little weird.
I want to do that in he said he wanted the double down Niners. So I want to try that sometime in a cheap startup, like a $20 startup. Just draft a whole bunch of quarterbacks and just try to trade them.
Yeah, I mean it's feasible if you
got
a league
12 teams.
If you got a league who will trade.
Yeah.
No Trey Lance yet here. Huh?
Well, I think that Zach meant to take him at the turn. He said it was supposed to be Lance in the chat.
Gotcha. So maybe Lance at 7-1 instead of Geno.
Yeah.
Oh, you're in the
push.
Look at that. Called it on with Big D. He's got to be loving that with Pickett at 7.
Yeah, I know a whole lot of people don't like Kenny Pickett, and
those people are dumb.
We've talked about the back half of the season being much better, and just visibly looking at it, which I know a lot of you don't like the eyeball test or whatever, but just the Steelers, the offensive line, Najee being back, Kenny just hanging in games, keeping them boys around, and just showing that he does have a little bit of it in there, which I know, is something that some people will be upset about because how could that be a thing? I can't measure it on these stats. But I like Kenny Pickett's out. That's Daniel Jones to me. What Kenny Pickett is and can be. I think he's got
the rushing upside.
He's got the athleticism.
I think I don't know about that.
I don't know about that one, Jim. It's good escapability. It's good athleticism. He can get you those hidden yards. I'm not asking you to be, Kyler. I'm not asking you to be like Daniel Jones isn't Kyler. Daniel Jones just gets out and gets his yards, and sometimes he falls down on his own. I just
some of that Buffalo Wild Wings
right
camp.
Pickett was I liked what I saw there. The Freiermuth at 7'6", I think that can be a very interesting pickup there, especially premium if you're at the end of the premium rope and you want to get a tight end. In our drafts, I think Freiermuth might hang around. I'd be interested to see what our ADP is on him right now, but the Freiermuth pickup there is nice. The Lance at 7'5", that is at that point you got to be in on Lance, right?
I think that's the first time I've ever seen Purdy go ahead of Lance.
Yeah.
That might be, I think you're right.
What would you be in at Lance at 7'5"?
Which ADP were you looking for?
Just ours.
Freiermuth.
Mm-hmm. Smashing Cam Akers there.
We're about to add 2 more drafts to the ADP here, so that might change a little, but
I was really hoping Pickens or Kincaid was going to fall to me here at the turn.
So
7.6 is the average post draft mocks.
So that's
Patty
right.
F.
That's right at it.
Right there. Boom. All right. So then Kenny Pickett on that big D team. Zay Flowers for Brax 52. He's only got one quarterback and it's Tua. So he'll be in a little bit of an interesting spot here, especially with that. When you see that Purdy Geno go that early, which maybe was supposed to be Trey Lance and maybe Geno would have went somewhere else. It's a minute clock and we're mocking. So mistakes happen and you get under the gun, click the wrong things. When Golf Purdy Geno go a little earlier than expected and they're kind of in a row like that, those other teams that are low quarterback stock are on the shelves or get buttholes get a little tight.
Ugh.
Tight buttholes got you.
You got tight butthole on that one?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Amari Cooper?
Yeah.
It happens.
That was me compensating for JSN. That was a build that is someone I think who could score a bunch of points this year.
Did y'all talk about JSN over Diggs and Metcalf and Cup?
We did a little bit, but we can double back in a minute. No love for Jameson. You're going Burks over Jameson Williams over there?
I told you it was tight butthole.
Well,
I would have taken Jameson Williams.
You would have taken Jameson Williams? Okay.
Jameson Williams is gone. He went 7-2.
No, I'm saying when you took Burks. 6-1.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Burks.
Okay. I like this JMW build. He's got Pitts. He's probably going to look for another tight end at some point here, coming back around. He's a double tight end stacker. Kenneth Walker and Ramondre.
I was thinking about taking Waller there. How would you feel about Waller there at 8-1?
I don't hate it. I've been getting Waller around the 9th-ish round, so whatever. I don't hate that at all. And then so the Brax guy gets Russell Wilson, so I think that's outstanding value on Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
So we had some weird quarterbacks go early, and then kind of the ones that usually go in that 5th, 6th round didn't go. So it kind of maybe evened out, and I think you're seeing a little bit of a late good QB push here. So unfortunately, Ryan right there might have got he got Russell, Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers, and Carr pulled out from under him if he wanted them. But we'll see what. Oh, he's got 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
He's got Daniel Jones. Okay, I missed him. Does anybody need one?
No, not anymore.
We're doubled up everywhere.
Doubled up.
All right. So we'll see kind of how that plays out. What were you saying? JSN over Diggs over Metcalf? Yeah, that's all day for me. That's
JSN over Metcalf, huh? JSN's better dynasty asset than Metcalf already.
I know what JSN looks like for the next 4 years.
Yeah, you're just resetting. The value's already high. Look at you're resetting the age clock. The value's still
25-year-old wide receiver with DK.
He's 25. How old's JSN?
I've seen DK Metcalf dominate on the NFL field too.
I just saw JSN get drafted in the first round. The value is going to be just fine for 2 or 3 years here. So there's already people who look at where Metcalf is right now, and he's shown you he can dominate.
I think he's a buy right now.
Look at where JSN is right now. Like, I think JSN is going to come in and just dominate targets in this on that team.
Even with Charbonnet.
But Diggs,
he's a safe dynasty asset, JSN. I get it.
Diggs being a little older, and he's one of the better wide receiver prospects we've seen in a minute. And whether or not you like him because he plays only in the slot or not, I don't think he's going to only play in the slot.
No,
I think he's already. It's not going to take long before you're just going to not be able.
He might
with
Lockett and DK out there, but they'll move into the slot too. So
it's not going to take very long before you cannot get JSN if there is any big plays.
I think there's a very good chance that JSN is right there with Amon-Ra in the next 18 months.
Agreed.
Is there any scenario where you take him over A-Rich in a Superflex rookie month?
No.
The draft.
No, I'm taking Anthony Richardson.
I'm taking all 3 quarterbacks before I take JSN and Gibbs.
Henry was like, people were taking Lance over Chase. If you're taking A-Rich over JSN.
Yeah, but sure. That's fine. I mean, you did have also a ridiculous amount of time where Lance did absolutely nothing and was still very, very valuable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really
he just finally
right.
fell.
And unfortunately, like, that situation just didn't work out.
Yeah.
Like, if Lance was the starting quarterback for the Niners for the last 2 years and was showing some promise and scoring some fantasy points, you can't predict injuries. Like, and that's really just what it's been with Lance. I mean, so yeah. I mean, look, revisionist history there, and I'm not saying that you gotta necessarily. I would take Stroud and Young because I know that I can. The flippability of those guys to get up to a quarterback is another quarterback is a whole lot easier than using JSN to. And when we're in Superflex, that's going to be the name of the game for me. Whereas JSN is just going to be a good asset. So if you wanted to say, hey, I'm just going to take that asset that I really like and not have to deal with trading, then I'm fine with that. It's going to be, how do you want to play? I want to do more trading. I think the advantage to winning and being good at Dynasty is staying on top of a trade market, which is why I don't want a portfolio in 85 leagues, because you just can't possibly you can't possibly be looking for little bits of value and learning your leagues. You're just basically selling you're selling Garrett Wilson for whatever profit you're selling. Everybody's just got to be expendable. There is no more. It's just names. It's not anything.
But it's more numbers, if anything.
Right.
It's not even names.
I'm saying the name. Right.
They're fucking player 12587.
Right.
Yeah. 24601.
Yeah. Well, if I can sell 24601 for also 676987.
That was a Les Mis reference.
Les Mis. Okay. Yeah, I definitely didn't get that. But I feel actually decent about not getting that one. Is it like the Liam Neeson movie edition? Or are you talking about like a book that you read? Or
the Liam Neeson movie was good. I was more referencing. Referencing the more recent one.
There's another one.
Yeah.
We don't need to spend any more time on this. Back to the draft.
So Jordan Love goes before Russell Wilson. I got to take Russell Wilson before him. I'm taking Russell Wilson probably way up here in the 5th or 6th round.
Madison only up 4 rounds from his usual ADP, or 3 rounds, I think.
We was going around the 12th.
Yeah, so he bumped up 3 rounds.
So he's gone up 3 rounds. All right. We're moving on up. Do you think that's not enough? Like, I would take Madison before I took Pacheco.
Yeah.
Oh, your boy Madison. People were very torn on Madison. Either he's objectively the worst, or I'm not selling him for any of that, or I can't believe that he said he wouldn't trade that, or could you believe he wouldn't say he did? I was just like, guys, settle down.
Yeah.
It's selling Madison right now, in my opinion, is probably the best move. It's the safest move. Okay, you could gamble and hold out for a little bit more. You could gamble and hold out that he is the guy there all year and he scores you a bunch of points. And
he could
get a boost because
you could gamble and say, hey, I got a good roster. I'm going to try to win with Madison, or But
what isn't gambling at all is selling him right now for a profit.
Well, you could sell him for somebody that you're more comfortable with.
And I feel like half the league doesn't even want him. You got to find somebody that wants Madison.
Well, somebody wants him. Plenty of guys want him right now.
Half the people, it's like split. Half the people are like, he is
bad.
I know.
It.
Not
I know
Period, good,
personally
period.
in the leagues that I'm in where I have him, the running back is still very valued, and people will want Madison because the opportunity to touches is the only thing that's going to matter for those guys. So there's going to be a robust market for him. And in leagues that are run by a bunch of guys on Twitter and the way that everybody thinks in that mindset, then it's going to be very wide receiver dominated, and they're not going to want a guy like Madison because they don't want a 25-year-old guy who's only started 5 games, and that's just doesn't matter what else he did, what he does, or what he looked like on film. They just don't care.
Yeah.
Which is whatever. And I don't see it that way. But to each their own.
I just kept telling everybody what you're saying is subjective, but your tone sounds objective. So settle down.
Sure.
He's not going to be the guy there this year.
I like this Chris Godwin at 7.3. I think there's some nice fantasy points week in, week out. I guess we're hoping that Baker could be
or Kyle Trask.
George Pickens at 7.10, Dotson at 7.11.
I was
you were hoping for Pickens there?
Pickens at 7.10.
You would have taken Pickens over Akers and then dropped Akers down to 8.1.
Yep.
I love that Hollywood.
I'm pretty sure in the last 6 to 7 mock drafts that we've done, I've drafted Cam Akers.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm usually looking at him and I'm like, yeah, I want Cam, but I usually just let him kind of slide on by to just see where he goes. But then you usually,
and then
probably not a great method because I know you're taking him. So.
Pretty sure I've taken him.
I found myself taking the same players, and I was like, I got to take somebody else.
Well, you can't take Cam Akers because J-Rob just got cut. It's just everything you need to know about Achilles injuries. So there we go.
Oh,
boom.
James Robinson just got cut.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, missed that.
Is that a Pierre Strong tweet?
Oh, it could be Kevin Harris tweet.
Some people didn't like my Calvin Ridley tweet earlier this week. So
I don't
got a fair amount of likes though. So torn,
I just saw a lot of Twitter hate that was like, Calvin Ridley hasn't played in a year, and you think he's going to come back and be awesome? Like, dude, you drafted him in the 9th round.
Yeah.
And he could be awesome. Like, all he did was separate and be really good when he was on the field most of his career. And now he's playing with Trevor Lawrence, who just took a huge step forward. And look at what Zay Jones did in that offense last year. Look at what Marvin Jones had some games in and out. Look at, just look at where we're going. So Kirk and Ridley could just be so dirty. I was like, well, look at, remember when Jamar Chase didn't play for a year and then couldn't catch footballs in minicamp and then it ruined his career? Like, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, do you think that all of a sudden that Calvin Ridley just forgot how to play football? Like, it's just insane to me that look at Le'Veon Bell. It's like, those are 2 different dudes and 2 different positions. And one went to the Jets. Like, what the fuck are we? If he would have went back to Pittsburgh and never fucking, he probably would have been just fine.
Yeah.
But he didn't. Now we like where Ridley is. And I'm not even that pro Ridley. Like, I'm usually not drafting him, but we're talking about a guy in the 9th round who could put up 12 to 15 points a week.
You could be anywhere from wide receiver, I don't know, 10 to 18.
Right. And some weeks, maybe even a top 5 receiver.
Yeah.
And I just, and same thing, like, okay, JSN basically didn't just play for a fucking year. So do we not like him anymore? And it's like, well, comparing those two, it's like, it's like, why? Because Jamar Chase is one of the best receivers in the league. Like, Calvin Ridley was once one of the better receivers in the league.
Yeah.
He isn't the build that Jamar Chase is, but what was elite at times throughout his career here. So, I find it wild that people are that upset that Calvin Ridley hasn't played in a year and there's no way he could be good again.
Big D said microphone Jesus preaching tonight. Microphone white Jesus.
I would take Deontay Johnson over Calvin Ridley, and I would take Hollywood Brown, which he did over Calvin Ridley. So, I like all that. I like the Charbonnet in the 8th. I love that Russell Wilson value is ridiculous. I like the Carr value there. I would have absolutely taken Mac Jones over Desmond Ridder at 10-7 here. I think that's I like Mac Jones over Jordan Love.
Mid Mac Jones.
Mac Jones on the same probably playing as Geno, although that offense and players around Geno is so much more fun. So you got to give him the nod there. But Russell, going back to that, Russell could be one of those tier jumpers.
Oh, he could be easily back up there, with
especially at 8.
Easily.
That's a league wiener. If old Brax there just got to put together a really solid roster here, and then just got.
I think he really could use another running back,
a quarterback, sure. But but he's all right. He has 2 here, and this has been my approach as we get into these rounds here. There is going to be running backs that he could grab. Now, I would say, hey, maybe in that 10th round, you could have grabbed somebody other than Bateman there, but I love that Bateman value right there. Like,
I was thinking about Bateman, but I can't pass up on.
So we'll probably talk about this in a whole show or something, but like I touched on it briefly.
QB run.
Kind of a minute ago. Yeah. And I'd rather have Matthew Stafford over Ritter. I think Matthew Stafford's undervalued right now. It could absolutely be a league winner for anybody who's got this guy who's got Jordan Love right here. I would have taken Stafford just to shore me back up. If I got Anthony Richardson, which perfect. That's exactly what you should do. You got Deshaun Watson. You took Richardson. You fucking put a guy like Matthew Stafford on the back end of this roster at the 10th round, and all of a sudden things are you're walking on fucking sunshine.
I'm walking on sunshine.
Because Stafford 2 years ago won us an FFPC Triflex 250 because he was so fucking good in that trip to the Super Bowl, and 1 year removed, all of a sudden he's in the 10th round.
Yeah.
And yes, he's a little older and
35,
but yeah, I mean,
but he still got 3. He could easily have 3 good years left.
Yeah, he could be awesome. So I think you got to put Stafford above Ritter there. For me, that's a go-to. But back to him having to take a running back and saying, no, I like a running back maybe instead of Bateman, but I got to take Bateman. And really, like, in the climate that we're in right now in fantasy football, everybody out there who's a big fantasy guy for the most part, or telling you what to do, or rankings or anything, it's wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. So the plebes, or however you say it out there, are the regs, the norms are out there. That's what they're listening to. That's their value.
Basic bitches.
That's their value system now. It's all about wide receivers. So if I just don't get caught up in having to take a running back to necessarily fill my needs out, and I just keep hammering good wide receivers, I'll be able to opt into a running back of not my choosing necessarily, but I'll have a bracket of running backs that I can trade into depending on how my team's going. Like, I could get an older, middle-aged, decent one. If my team's going well, I could probably go all in and trade for a little bit younger one with, if Bateman's cooking off the rip, or say he's got Bateman and Zay Flowers. I mean, I'm not sure I would have done that necessarily, but you can move off of one and feel good about it. But he goes Brian Robinson there, which I don't know. I'm sort of indifferent on Brian Robinson. We might have to have a dynasty trial on Brian Robinson, and somebody sell me on.
I'm fucking buying us a powdered wig.
And a gavel.
Oh, for sure.
Somebody would need to sell me one way or the other on Brian Robinson. I'm more in the Antonio Gibson camp, but Antonio Gibson going here 11 is a little out of the ordinary before Brian Robinson. I feel like in a lot of our drafts, he's been going before him. I've been absolutely smashing AJ Dillon in these 10th, 11th rounds here. I can't quit AJ, and it's just really good value. I like that Cook right there. Let's see. You got your boy Roshan. You went Laporta and Dulcich. So then you probably at some point, we're only going to 15 rounds here, but you would probably want at some point to try to anchor down with a veteran that could maybe you feel confident about for the first couple of weeks here.
Yep.
Like a Juwan Johnson.
My next
later.
Wait, talking about tight ends?
Yeah.
No, I'm happy with
You're fine with those two.
Yep.
Well, while we like them, question marks though at your tight end position.
Fine with them.
Like I'd come back in a few rounds and try to get a Juwan or an Irv Smith.
If we're going 18,
Hunter Henry
if we're going 18, if I'm going 18 deep, sure.
We're talking. Well, I'm saying that's what I'm saying. Like,
okay,
we're only. I said I let it off with we're only going 15 here.
Okay, yes.
But if we were
then yes.
If we're drafting a full team, we're doing it for the time restraints here.
Sure, yeah.
If we were drafting a full team, I would come back and get a Higbee, an Irv, even a Hunter Henry late or a Gesicki late. Just one of those Patriot tight ends. Just another shot. I like Juwan Johnson late.
Oh, I love Juwan. I love late Juwan.
So, and then you got the A-Chain on there, which is another nice little shot, and then the Roshans.
It's interesting the A-Chain is going behind in the startup went behind both Charbonnet and Miller. Is that kind of the Dalvin Cook going to Miami push that he's
maybe so, but I think that's even if he doesn't, I think that's where it should be. I think that for me personally, that's about where I would. I'm
fine with it too. I just think it's interesting because I see a lot of rookie drafts where A-Chain's going ahead of both those guys.
Yeah. So Zach has hoarded a few more, another quarterback. He's got Howell. So his quarterbacks are Goff, Purdy, Geno Smith, and Howell. And then he doubled up on the tight ends here on the Waller at 8-12, which I really like. And then he got Schultz at 11-1. So Schultz has been if I miss on Goddard or better, Schultz has been my guy. I feel like Schultz is just going to be on mop-up duty on the Houston Texans there. And I love that 9th to 11th round value on Schultz. JMW, I feel like I would have liked to see Schultz on that team, but he does have Pitts, so he scoops up Mayer. So he's feeling pretty good about that young stack of tight ends. Let's see here. I like this. I like a lot of parts of Adam W's team here. He's got Fields and Prescott. He's got Kelsey. And then Devontae Adams, who I don't really know what to make of.
He's trying to win 2023.
Right. He's got, and then he's got Pollard, so you feel good about that. And then Ayuk and Godwin, so he's got points.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones, the Will Levis is a bit of a wild card there, but
if it hits, I mean, that's a scratch off.
I think
there.
Either way, it's just another. You need a quarterback to trade a quarterback. You need a tight end to trade for it.
Yeah.
I think Levis is a nice piece to try to maybe get into another quarterback if you wanted to. And then he came back with Cook and Herbert here. I'd like to see him grab a couple more veteran wide receivers here to kind of shore this thing up. Let me get the wide receiver pull up.
No,
here.
don't.
Huh?
I'm trying to draft some veteran wide receivers.
Okay.
It's fine. Now
we got Cortland in there, which I like. Scroll down. Don't look at me. It's my daughter says all the time when she's upset. Don't look at me. Anyway, it's Mooney going there at 13-12, just upside on Mingo, upside.
Scroll down here.
That's all right now. JMW, I like the squad. I like the Richardson. and then matching that up with Stafford. I'd like to see a little bit more of some wide receivers that we could count on. We're gonna miss Jameson Williams for 6 games. I like Terry's value right now is very strong for one of the better consistently elite wide receivers with a bad quarterback play. And then Rachaad White, who isn't my favorite, but if he can dodge an older free agent running back, that's going to be wheels up for a ton of fantasy production.
Yeah.
So there's points there.
I almost considered a Akers Rashad back to back
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then he goes Tank and Mooney. So I'd like to see another couple of wide receivers that I could count on over there. Which Sutton just went. There's going to be your Gallups later. And I'm drawing a blank here on some of the other ones that I usually look at. Brandon Cook's probably still out there. No, he went 12-6. And then Hyatt just went after that. And then why am I drawing a blank on Jay Williams' first name? Jamal Williams goes. What do you guys think about? I'm
kind of out on Jamal Williams.
I think I am too.
I'm fine there. I guess it's fine there.
Yeah.
If you're thinking if you're thinking Kamara's gonna get suspended and it's gonna take Miller a little bit up to speed. I like this. I like Byers' team. I would have rather seen another quarterback besides Jimmy. If we're gonna take Love, I'd rather have another quarterback who I feel a little bit better about. But he's got points. He's got St. Brown and Smith and Diggs. He's ready to go. I like Dobbins a whole lot this year as your running back. And then down here is RB2 is Connor, man. This is kind of what the way I've been seeing my build go, a little bit different personnel in some spots, but Keenan Allen in the 9th and then Connor in the 10th. That's points on points on points. Yeah.
And that's your second running back. And then he came back. He got Garoppolo there, which could be just fine as your third, and probably maybe he's starting over Love for a little while there. But then P. Ryan, man, I think P. Ryan's going to come out and have a really good start to the season, really getting the good graces of Peyton there.
He'd be great on a team that has Breece Hall.
Right. But he's going to be maybe he might need a running back production off the rip. Maybe the Cardinals, maybe Connor does struggle a little early because Kyler's not out there. Maybe it's a little struggle. So maybe you can plug P. Ryan in there. But
So liking that team, kind of veteran-ish, mixed a little youth in, got Josh Allen at the top. So, and then Kittle, he's got a good tight end. So points are readily available there. I like this build too. Kind of the same vein of, or I like at least the strategy here. The same vein as that I was talking with Anthony Richardson on the JMW team. He's got Stroud at 310, which is a high pick for him. But then he comes back and he gets Tannehill in the 12th round. 12th, 13th, 14th round Tannehill's where we've been seeing him. Tannehill's got some meat on the bone. Tannehill's going to start all year for the Titans. Titans are probably going to make the fucking playoffs. Like, I know everybody loves to count them out and all that other stuff and who they got here and who they got there. The Titans just come up and they just like to play ball. You know, they don't care where, how. They're going to play Titan ball, and you know they love ball and all the ball references. And Tannehill has had really good stretches. I feel like he's kind of forgotten again, sort of like Stafford had a nice run 2 years ago and had good stretches where he was up in the top 5 of efficient fantasy quarterbacks and he's got legs, got hurt a little bit. So I think Tannehill's got a little juice left and can really help you out with your CJ Stroud through the first 6-8 weeks of the season to see what you have there in Stroud and not be forced to start him and feel like I have a pretty quality starter that isn't going to cost me games in Tannehill. In lieu of Stroud, and then you can kind of figure out what to do. And then DK, and I didn't like the Derrick Henry pick. I would have swapped that around a little bit. I would have definitely taken Dobbins and moving Henry down a little. But I like the Marquise. I like the Evans late. I like the Monty in the 10th. I like the Joku if you missed out on some top end talent at the tight end. So did a good job putting that thing together there for the Stroud team there. Let's see what you got. Any teams that obviously besides your own that you like here?
Like Big D's team, especially the first 7 picks.
Right, and maybe you could get Sanders late, but maybe you couldn't.
I mean,
maybe he's your 7-7 and Pickett's your 6-6, but we're splitting hairs.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think production wise, Miles Sanders is one of our favorite.
Oh, for sure.
If you missed out on running backs, could be your RB1, but a great RB2 later.
Yeah.
You got Pittman, who I like. You got Kupp, who's going to, like you said, those first 7 points picks: Lamar, Taylor, Andrews, Kupp, Pittman, Sanders, then Pickett, and then comes back with Charbonnet, who we feel after having our conversation from the last pod we did, feeling good about him. Then a nice dart throw with Tony, who could be, anywhere from a top 5 wide receiver, top 10 wide receiver in this league to, not worth it.
He's
going to be the guy who I keep betting on because shit just looks different. And then he did go and get another veteran in Lockett and another veteran in Cooks. And if we're doing the big best asset available, maybe you want to lose one of the Lockett or the Cooks and get somebody who is a little bit more of an asset, but he is built like a little bit more of a win now team. And then you get a Boyd who, if anything happens to T or Chase, you got a really good player there. And even if you need to fill in some weeks, Boyd will probably get his. And then Harris, I like Harris. And then Mitchell, Mitchell could have some, hey, if I need to start him, I can. But if anything happens to CMC, we're gold. I think Harris is going to be, Damian Harris going to be great for the Bills if they so choose to finally run the fucking football. I think he could be huge for them. I like that team a whole lot. We'll see what he does here with his last pick.
Irv as his tight end too.
Right. Which and some of the, Puka maybe getting picked at 15 because we're out of rounds here and he's moving him up. I don't know that I would take
he's
Puka
getting a lot of buzz.
I'm not hating on it. Maybe it should probably be a little later, but I like that Wandell pick there by Ryan. That's a nice pickup. Michael Thomas at 15.5. That could
I was almost took him instead of Tillman.
He's got Chase and DJ Moore and Nuke, so he could potentially really need. And then he's got Rice and Hyatt as some dart throws, and then Abanikanda, which could be fine. But Chubb, Eckler, and McCaffrey to start your trio. So that's going to be a strong team. Lance turns into anything at all for the Lane Kiffin team here, and we're cooking with some fucking gasoline. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Derek Carr is probably going to be just fine. Going to be Derek Carr, ups and downs, but probably a little better than the bad games from Oakland last year or Las Vegas last year, and maybe be a little bit more average back to Carr for the year before. Ingram's a nice pick there.
So I like that. I always like what JMW puts out. Zach's always got a really distinct way he's going to look at one particular draft. And that Clyde Edwards at 14, 12. Clyde has been my 14th round pick in a lot of these drafts, and I absolutely love it. I'm passing on running backs early, and I'm drafting AJ Dillon and Clyde and Spears and Pirine all later, and Harris and just really liking the teams I end up with there. Maybe throwing a little Cook in there or some Herbert. Donta Foreman didn't get drafted. I like him a little later. Just in that.
You're assuming I'm not going to take him?
Oh, I didn't realize that you were still okay. You're there.
I'm not taking him.
But Roshan not being a running back for a terribly long amount of time, maybe we come into and Foreman's been good, really good. Roshan's a quarterback not too long ago, so maybe he gets into the league and it takes a minute for everything to really click in. So it could be the Herbert Foreman show there for a little bit, with Roshan just mixing in a little, get his feet wet. So Foreman could really carve out a role only on a 1-year deal. He's got an Achilles. He still looks good. Jacoby Myers there at 13-12. I know that's your guy, but that's just a nice little pickup. We'll see what they do with Renfro. Jerome Ford's a nice little pick. There's not a whole lot in line for him to get in his way. Dearness is gone. Kareem's gone.
I would have taken 16-1. I probably would have taken Eric Gray.
Yeah.
Because I think this Barkley thing is just, I don't know what's going to happen.
Could
there.
get tenuous.
And I don't really want to trust Matt Breida as my RB1. So
yeah. The Burrow guy here at 1-4 has Olave, Saquon Jacobs. I like that. Then Addison, I like that. Cousins, I like that. So he solidified. I would like to see him have a third QB, but not
very interesting running back room there.
Right. It's Cook, Jacobs, Barkley.
I probably should have taken a third quarterback too.
But he did a nice job down here. I think Juju's going to be just fine as a week in, week out, not a hole in your lineup. Would have liked to see one more receiver I can count on there. But Addison's probably going to be, we've talked about it a lot, but maybe the most consistent rookie scorer.
I mean, he could be the
receiver-wise.
rookie of the year. I think there's a pretty clear path to him being rookie of the year.
And then he took a shot on Kincaid. Like Ridley could be an anchor for him, and Elijah Moore getting a lot of hype right now. So it could be good 3, 4 little receiver room there. And then he did take Kincaid, but then he also took Chig, but then he did come back and gets Higbee, who had a really nice start to the season last year. I think week 1 maybe wasn't as strong, and then had a nice
It wasn't a pie to the face, bad.
Had a nice couple of games after that. I think he was tight end 8 last year, even with finishing not so strong. So got some big upside plays at tight end, and then potentially the anchor there. Like that Gerald Everett grab, like the Schoonmaker. Love the Irv. Love that Trey McBride with Freiermuth there. So he's got Herbert, Rodgers, and then he throws Ritter in there, who maybe could be something. So I don't hate the way you have Ritter there, and Madison could be good, and Pierce should be good, and then a nice stack of receivers: Garrett Wilson, Tyreek with a little age, and you go back with Quentin Johnson and Christian Watson. And then Puka and Nico again. Would like to see him take somebody like a Lockett or a Brandon Cooks or a Gallup here, a little somebody with that I feel good about as a veteran presence. For that particular team. Anybody got anything else they want to add to what we're going with right now?
I'd like to add like 5 more rounds on here. There's still a ton of guys that I'd love to take.
There's still a ton of guys for sure.
Should we name some of them off?
Well, I don't have names in front of me, so but
like Zeke didn't go.
Yeah, I mean Zeke, Kareem, and Fournette are all still there, which are all later picks in the bigger drafts that we do mock wise. Like I said, Foreman I know is still on.
What about guys like a Zamir White or like something like that?
Zamir, there's not a whole lot in front of right now. Dwayne McBride didn't go in here, and those are all nice running backs. I think we did see Clyde and McKinnon go.
Yeah.
Like I said, Gallup is still out there. Wandell, I believe, just made the cut. 15-4.
Lazard available.
Lazard.
Alec Pierce available too.
Alec Pierce available, like that.
Tank Dell,
Tank Dell. Isaiah Hodgins is somebody who I'm always grabbing late.
little Rashid,
right. And I still am. I'm gonna start stabbing on these Giants receivers.
Tyquan Thornton.
I love the Thornton pickup later.
Already managing a soft tissue injury though,
So he's just too damn twitchy.
too damn twitchy.
But Thornton and Paris Campbell, like I said,
Justin Ross
going to be grabbing a lot of those Giants receivers.
Yeah,
Justin Ross to the Chiefs. Sure, why not? Getting some hype and some love right now.
some good tight ends available still. You got Juwan Johnson, Mike Gesicki, Jelani Woods, Kate Otten.
Is Isaiah Likely out there too? Still,
He sure is.
Isaiah
Yep.
Likely's out there. Yep. So, quarterback wise, probably not a ton. Mike.
How do you
White,
guys feel about?
I'll throw some Zay Jones on my team too. Late.
How do you guys feel about the Dallas? Are you guys? I mean, Dallas tight ends. I think I'm Ferguson over the Schooner, but just because
you got to take the Schoonmaker. But you could still come in and take Ferguson or Hendershot. Nobody's even looking at those guys. They're dead. So you throw those guys on the bottom of the team, no problem, and then kind of just see what happens. You can get Schoon here. I think the draft that we're in right now. I think let's see, real quick. I just took Schoonmaker 16-2, and I could get Ferguson probably 22 if I wanted to.
Yeah.
And then you could kind of see how that plays out.
Yeah, I just took Likely and Jelani Woods in this mock. This other mock we're in.
Chase Claypool, DPJ, John Mechie,
Claypool.
Rondell Moore. Rondell Moore went
went.
here. So
Michael Wilson.
DJ Chark.
Chark. Yep.
So all nice little plays. Jalen Warren later, especially if you have
Najee.
I don't think did Singletary go here?
Yes, he went 15-10.
Nice
Okay.
little late scoop.
So some late scoops there. Like I said, Isaiah Hodgins is a guy I've been drafting a lot of.
Chuba,
sure. I think Bellinger late. Still, I like Bellinger a whole lot. I think late, and you get 2 years of maybe production. I don't know what the contract necessarily is. I think it might be longer than that, but maybe you get 2 years of production. No, for Waller.
Oh yeah,
a year or two of production from him that's really high, and Bellinger starts to kind of creep back into the fold.
Yeah,
as a forgotten man.
If I've got Connor, I'm drafting Keontae Ingram all day.
Ertz still could be all right if late there. Sam Darnold quarterback wise, Zach Wilson quarterback wise. I know it's no fun and it can be super late, but we're getting. This is what he needed. This is exactly what he needed. He's going to have first round capital, and he's going to have sat behind Rodgers. And regardless if you believe in him or not,
going to get another.
All they've been talking about is how I don't know if he'll get another opportunity, but if he does at some point see a blip of an opportunity, there'll be a blip of a sell window if you want to. But there are some raw talents there for Wilson. He needed to mature. He needs to learn how to be a pro.
I learned.
He needs to learn how to complete those easy layup throws. And I know Rodgers is, having fun and saying he's having fun, but he's also said that Zach Wilson has been in his hip pocket, and he's been excited to be with him and teach him and learn like he did through his father. But
let the boy watch.
I went on Memphis's show. Shout out to Memphis, and he was kind of kicking around
Dynasty
this idea
Warzone
a little bit. And I didn't hate it. And late in these drafts and throw-ins, get Zach Wilson, throw him on the bottom of your team.
Yeah, I also don't mind going after like a Trask or like a
Trask
or Jake Brisket, maybe
Zappy,
Taylor Heineke, those guys that are just
Zappy, Mike White,
Stetson Bennett, maybe
Zappy, Mike White are must. Sammy D must.
Tune
Stetson Bennett late an apps like if I just took Stafford in the 20th round in the 22nd round, I'm for sure taking Stetson Bennett getting mad love right now. They're every time I turn around, I'm just seeing blurb after blurb. It means nothing right now, but the court of public opinion with my gavel and my powdered wig, it means something.
how much does this powdered wig even cost?
You can be able to get cheap ones. Just Jeff Wilson. I mean, no fun, and Mostert. I mean, those guys are later round picks there. I know everybody likes.
They're no fun, but that could be some
And
production.
and
for
you know my guy Spiller and Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards should be drafted on all of your teams. He's super late. If anything happens to Dobbins, we know Edwards can be productive. He's forgotten about, and they could easily be a 1-2 punch. So on the buyers team there at in the 1-2 spot, got to put Gus Edwards. I've put him on pretty much every team that I have FFPC wise. Pierre Strong's got a nice little opportunity now.
$20 on Amazon.
You know, but and like I said, our guy Isaiah Spiller, you know, see what happens with him. But I'm willing to roster him again. So threw out a bunch of names there at the end. Jordan Mason was good in spots. Kevin Harris, you know, now opportunities kind of open for him a little
Said
bit.
that Jordan Mason's passed TDP on the depth chart.
Yeah, I mean he
Saw that in the blurb.
already did.
Blurb.
Jordan Mason's hashtag good, and Mitchell and CMC have been both banged up. So Jordan Mason late, not the worst. We're talking about super late here. And then another one is, you know, Dearness Johnson really late on the Jags. Like there's a chance that he could come in and be the 2 off the rip and not Tank. You know, and Tank's a guy that I like to put on the team, but I think Dearness is pretty good. And maybe Tank isn't, you know, quite have his feet on, or maybe it's a mix of all three. And I think Dearness has, and he's older, but has some dynamic shit left to him. And if God forbid anything happens to ETN, I mean, it's a coin flip. You know, you think it's going to be Bigsby, and I know we did that mock draft where everybody was like, you got to take the running back in the 3rd and 4th round, because when you do, it's just going to, well, this isn't, it's not always just the handcuff that you think it is. Sometimes it's the fucking other guy. But you know, what's odd is like a lot of these names that we're throwing out there. I did a show in the off season that was a bunch of guys who are go get them now as throw-in picks. And they're all guys that are, you know, really interesting guys right now. So hope you've been liked and subscribed for a while, because
hit it.
your boy crushed some of those.
Hit it.
All right, let's get out of here. Let's hopefully.
What did you just do?
What's that?
What did you just do?
I didn't do anything.
Oh, I thought you like pointed to the sky or something.
No, I said let's get out of here.
Get out of here.
I readjusted.
Cue the outro music.
Yeah. So we appreciate you guys. We'll be going live. We're a few times a month now. We're gonna be doing mock drafts and a bunch of other stuff on here. And then in season we go live once a week to recap games and all that jazz. So be sure to like, subscribe, all that good stuff, so you get notifications. Follow us on Twitter at the FF Dynasty. We'll tell you when we're going live, so you can hop in some of these mock drafts. We do give it to the patrons first, but we also have been mixing some public people in our mock drafts to just get different people than our Patreon people. And so again, when we do these, we'll throw a couple spots out to the public. So be sure to follow at the FF Dynasty. And of course, if you're liking what you see here, you can buy a tee to support the team at revelbrewingco.com, FF Dynasty tee, or you could throw us $5 for a month. You ain't even got to stay around. You don't have to do anything. You like what you see, throw $5. If you just watched that industry mock and you thought that shit was awesome, was that not worth $5? Was that not worth $5? Just come on here, throw your boy $5. Get out. You ain't even got to stay. You ain't got to do nothing. But if that information right there of getting 12 guys in this industry to tell you a whole bunch of different perspectives on what they're seeing, if that isn't worth $5, I'm not sure what is. So appreciate you guys. You know, we're gonna pander a little bit. I'm not doing it at the beginning of the show, end of the show. No, you want to throw your boy a couple bucks, throw some peanuts at him. You would give us a couple bucks, we'll take a couple. So
Give us
see
a
you
couple
next time.
Miles Sanders. We'll give you a couple Miles Sanders.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all. Peace.